Today we are going to be talking about the Canaanite/Egyptian goddess Qetesh. Qetesh is one of my favorite ancient goddesses, and this is because she's a goddess of love, sensuality, and pleasure. And in her symbolism, she's often holding blue lotus or papyrus flowers, so plants in one hand, and then in her other arm, she's usually holding a serpent. These are just symbols that I love and resonate with. So I've been diving into Qetesh mysteries for maybe the past 4 years, and I'm ready to share some of the things that I've uncovered and working with her, and hopefully spark some inspiration in you if you're interested in working with this goddess or want to get to know this love goddess. So there are many love goddesses, across this region, and like goddesses like Astarte and Ishtar and Inanna, Qetesh shares similar qualities to these goddesses. And it's been argued, by scholars of like what exactly is her identity. And, she originates in the Levant, but most of what we know about her comes from Egyptian ancient art. Qetesh is also known by other names. So she's called Kudshu and she's called Qeteshet. And this word is a word that comes from the Hebrew word for holy, Kadesh. And this implies her divine nature and sacred role that she played in the pantheons of the region. So Qetesh in art, let's go through her symbolism. So in art, here's a photo of what she looks like from an Egyptian stele. She is facing the viewer. She's naked. She's holding objects in either hand, and she's standing on the back of a lion. So, and she's got a Hathor crown. So that's horns with the sun in the center. And let's just go through each of these symbols one by one and unpack what Qetesh might represent and what she might represent for us as modern pagans working with her practices. So, starting with her nudity. So, the fact that Qetesh is nude and she's facing us is evidence that she is a goddess that doesn't come from the Egyptian pantheon. So, in ancient art, when Egyptian gods were depicted, they are not depicted facing us, they're depicted to the side, and more like this profile kind of view. The other thing that's different from Egyptian deities in art is that they are not depicted nude. And here we see Qetesh is depicted nude, which is very common for goddesses that she is similar to, like Astarte, Inanna, and Ishtar. They would appear nude in the ancient art of Mesopotamia and the Levant. So that's one thing. And then the fact that she is nude also implies her knowledge of the body. So since she's a goddess of love and pleasure and sacred sexuality, we might infer from this that Qetesh is here to show us, or, this is one of the things that is her domain, is pleasure through the body and embodiment. And because she's a divinity and a holy divinity, it also gets to another layer that she can help us with our divine embodiment, with embodying our own divinity and with bringing divine energies into our sacred vessels. And I do think that many ecstatic witches, this is our thing, is like awakening to our divine nature and treating the body as our holy vessel that carries this divine soul through life, and merging the two and bringing the two into alignment. So those are some things that I drew from Qetesh's nudity and the nakedness, the standing in front of the divine, open and ready to receive. Okay, next we have the implements that she's holding in either hand. So in one hand, she's holding some kind of plant. And this could be interpreted as the blue lotus flower, sometimes called the blue water lily or Egyptian blue lotus. And this is a plant that was revered all through ancient Egypt. It is associated with the god Nefertem. And was present at the origins of creation in Egyptian mythology. So this plant has been with us since the beginning, and it's such a beautiful plant. I am in love, and I brought some here today to show you all. And this was a plant that was soaked in wine and drunk by the ancient Egyptians, along with other plants like poppies and mandrake, to alter consciousness and then practice different dances and music and celebrations. And as this is a plant of euphoria and pleasure, it is very appropriate that it would be a plant that Qetesh is holding in her hand. Okay, the next piece of symbolism, I want the serpent. So this is a ubiquitous symbol across the ancient world of serpents as healing motif. Serpent is evidence to me that she is also a goddess that might be associated with healing and plant medicine. And as we know, plant medicine, especially the kind that is consciousness altering, can be a gateway to the divine, can be a gateway to seeing the mysteries of the universe, to experiencing oneness and connection and heart opening and deep healing. So I would argue that Qetesh is also a plant medicine healing goddess. And I just want to say that, you know, I'm not a scholar, I'm a witch, and I approach my magic and my research for my magic in much the same way. I'm open to the deities, you know, sharing with me what is real for them, what makes sense, and working with that in my practice. And I'm not like, I'm a little concerned about scholarship, but not like deeply concerned, because that's not my primary goal or focus. Next, we can talk about how she's standing on the back of a lion. And lions were revered in the ancient world and were also symbols of power. And the fact that she's standing on top of it means that she is a goddess of power. She is carrying this divine authority. She's, you know, tamed the wild, you know, and you can interpret this in a like alchemical kind of way of like taming the wild animal within us, taming the beast that we all have, taming our shadows, you know, digesting our shadows, bringing everything in together into alignment. And so that's very much how I read this lion symbol. And like other goddesses who have a lion symbol associated with them, like Ishtar and Astarte, and also maybe Asherah to some extent. These are all goddesses that carry some kind of divine authority or interest in justice. And then for witches, you know, you might associate the lion also with being proud of ourselves, just have appreciation for who we are and how we show up in this world. So those are some things that Qetesh has revealed to me through her symbolism. And last, let's just talk about the Hathor crown. So this is a motif that, you know, began with Hathor, but many other goddesses adopted it. And what it represents is the horns are facing upward. And so this represents, you know, pointing towards heaven, pointing towards the gods. And then in the middle is the sun. So this would also give Qetesh a solar aspect and would connect her to life. So Hathor in ancient Egypt is associated with the sun. Really bring out this idea that we're in service to life. These goddesses are life-affirming goddesses. They believe in healing. They believe in pleasure. They believe in the fecundity of the earth and our relationship to that and our role in helping carry and bring that forward. And ultimately, you know, that is what I feel is what many of us witches are called to do, is to recognize the cycles of life, the transformative nature of being alive, to embody the powers of the serpent, which are life, death, and regeneration. And the sun is a similar element where it rises and sets each day, bringing life to us every single day. Let's talk about ways to work with Qetesh in your magical practice. So some things that you can do if you want to invite this goddess into your practice are, one, to work on yourself, of course, to you know, be open to healing, be open to understanding your own sense of embodiment, your own sense of divinity, and these different elements that make up who you are. And then second, some practical things you can do are light candles to her to start inviting her into your world. So I brought some little candles with me today to show you. I like to light a gold candle for Qetesh every day if I remember, and or metallic. I have these bronzy ones, and I like to light birthday candles in my practice because I light so many, and it just helps mark out the space while I'm doing my morning practice to just have some birthday candles burning. And when they run out, I kind of, it like marks out where I'm at in my practice for the day. The other thing you can do is give Qetesh offerings. So Qetesh loves perfume, honey, things that really embody that, like sensuality. And she loves rose. And one thing I like to do to bring the spirit of Qetesh into my body is to create a blend of herbs. And what I use is blue water lily, rose, and damiana. And I will soak these herbs in brandy, and then I add honey to it, and then that creates what we call a cordial. And cordial is such a beautiful medicine. They taste so good. And you just take, a little bit. It's a medicinal dose. And it slightly alters your consciousness and just puts you into this like dreamy, euphoric mood that can open the gateway to Qetesh's mysteries. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I want to mention is that she's not the easiest goddess to work with or to get to know. Like her counterparts, Astarte and Ishtar, she's kind of a tough deity. These goddesses are associated with fierceness and fierce feminine power. And in order to gain access to her like astral temple, I worked with a different being for a while first that was like an attendant to her, and I might liken this being to a jinn or jinnia. And this being came to me first when I lit a candle for Kudshu, and this other being showed up first, and I was like, "Whoa, who's this?" And then that was the being that helped guide and direct me towards Qetesh's temple. Yeah. Okay. There's so many other things. Let's see. So you could also offer her frankincense or other incense, especially ones that are like very aromatic and perfumey. And another way to access her realm is to put on jewelry. So some things that I will do are wear cuff bracelets. I'll wear a necklace, and I might even put jewelry around my ankles to invite her in. So she loves adornment. She's a goddess of beauty. Since she's a Venusian goddess, Venus is associated with beauty and adornment. So Qetesh is the same. She appreciates beauty. She appreciates the effort. She wants us to get ready. And I don't mind this at all because I love doing that stuff. So for me, it resonates and works for me. The other offerings I might give her are wine, but I don't just give her plain wine. I will make sure I infuse herbs in it first, especially blue lotus would be an appropriate plant to infuse into a wine that you give to Qetesh as an offering. And I think that I just want to say, you don't have to be giving these offerings every day, but having a consistent check-in, like even if it's once a week, or offering when you're first starting to work with this goddess can be helpful because it really like digs into the psychic world that you're interested in meeting with Qetesh. I've been working with this goddess for about the past 4 years, and I continue to deepen my relationship with her. I just feel very called and inspired to share her magic. I think we really need it at this time. The world is a difficult place. There is a lot of suffering, and to bring in her message around healing and pleasure and love and beauty and adornment and taking the time to do these things and to appreciate these aspects of being embodied and being human is just a wonderful dimension to bring into a magical practice. I have written an article on cultofthedivine.com, my website, where I go into a lot more detail about Qetesh if you're interested in learning more. I also offer a little poem, like liturgy and invocation that you can use to contact Qetesh. I give a list of correspondences. Some of them are related to the history of her, and some of them are my own ideas from what I've gathered in working with her. So if you want to deep dive a little bit more into her mysteries, check that out. And then if you're interested in working with me, I am a spirit medium and I can contact different deities and spirits for you, especially if you're confused or unsure about which gods might be connecting with you. I am happy to help sort through that mystery, or just offer you some support and guidance on your craft journey. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Raphael, and it's such a pleasure to share and be able to talk about the things that I love so much in magic.